Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Grey Nomad Knits. Well gosh, it must be nearly a year since I was on here, so I'm very out of practice. We've just had a really busy year. We started at the beginning of the year house sitting at our friend's place down south for about 2 months. And then we came back and got ready for our big caravan adventure of 2025, which was amazing. We travelled from Perth across the Nullarbor and around New South Wales and Victoria and South Australia, all the way up to Cooper Pedy. We had the most amazing time. And now we're back, and I thought it was time to film another episode. And thank you to the people who have messaged me wondering if I was okay and where I was. All is good. I have come back from our holiday with some very dodgy legs. I've been to see the specialist and it looks like I'm going to be having a knee replacement done soon. Yeah, it's getting to the stage where I can't even go for a walk at the moment. So that's a shame, but it will get fixed. So here in Perth we're having some lovely weather now. We're into spring. I'm sitting in my sewing cum knitting cum computer room, which has also been taken over by my daughter. Our two daughters are both single and they've just been finding it too hard to manage financially on their own, so they've both moved back home. Our eldest daughter works from home, so she's got all her computers set up just over there, which means I'm a bit cramped for space in here now. But that's okay. I'd rather have them home than on the streets, that's for sure. So let's get into it. We're going to kind of start afresh. I have got a couple of finished objects I want to show you. And I'm going to talk about this first because it's getting a bit warm here. It's going to be 24 or 25 degrees Celsius today. And it has warmed up a bit. Spring is definitely here. And I don't know if you can hear it. Our neighbours over the back fence have got some chickens and they've been going ballistic today. All I can hear is chook noises outside. So if you hear any faint noises of chooks, they're not ours, they're over the back fence. Wouldn't mind some of the eggs though. Okay, so this was my Esther cardigan by Sarah Hatton, and I haven't got any photos of me wearing it because I just forgot to take photos. We've been away too much. But I thought you just might like to see it because I think I had just started it when I filmed my last podcast. I can't even tell you now what yarn I use because I've thrown out all the labels and stuff. I know it was a yak and it might have been the Rowan soft yak. I can't quite remember. But I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It's like a V-neck cardigan and I couldn't decide what buttons to get. I'm just going to undo this one so I can show you. I got these beautiful shell buttons from a shop, I think it was in the eastern states, called Tessuti, Tessuti. They came in a lovely parcel with a beautiful card, really, really nice customer service. So I'll try and remember to put a link down in the show notes. They have a fantastic array of buttons. I'm a bit funny with buttons. I don't like buttons that stand out. I like buttons that blend in. And I think these ones did a fantastic job of doing just that. This pattern was a delight to knit. It's by Sarah Hatton. It was in the Rowan magazine number 57, which is this one here. And this is the pattern. Of course, things always look better on the models than they do on me. I just fell in love with it. And I didn't really make any alterations at all. I even did it, well, I measured my length and did it to my length. Oh, just bear with me a minute while I straighten up this sore leg. Oh, gosh. But it was a delight to knit. It was very well written and I had no issues with it at all. My only, I probably have got one little issue, but that's user error, not the designer. I probably could have done with knitting a size smaller, and I never ever say that, but I have managed to lose a little bit of weight, and from when I started this to now I can definitely tell the difference. And it was blocked when I first made it and it fitted just nicely, but I think I might need to give it another bit of a wash and lay it out flat to dry and see how it goes. But even if it does stretch out a bit more, it's probably more that the garment has stretched than anything. It won't matter because I like things kind of baggy and loosey and you can wrap yourself up in them. So it will still get lots of wear. But that pattern was a delight, and I will certainly look at maybe some more of Sarah Hatton's patterns now, because it was very well written. And I did have one little problem when I started off. It was when I was doing my swatch, actually, getting this hole here correct. And in the pattern, the way it was written, the way you continue up after here, I was misreading the pattern. So I messaged her and sent it off. And I sent the message off to her. And then within 5 minutes, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I was reading it like that. I was doing it completely wrong. So I messaged her again to say, don't worry, Sarah, I've sorted it and now it's good. And she sent a message back to me very quickly and laughed and said, yeah, you just got, because otherwise I was getting a ladder going up here. And it was just something where I wasn't bringing those stitches back together after the yarn overs, because that's like a double yarn over there. Yes, so, but anyway, it all got sorted. It was a joy to knit, and I would definitely recommend any of her patterns. Something else I finished is something I actually started in the caravan. Just let me see if I can find my sock blockers. So while we were in the caravan, I wanted something easy and portable, because our caravan's not that very big. And yeah, so I wanted something that didn't take up too much space. And we also went with my sister and her husband. They were in their caravan. And we sort of took it in turns cooking every night, which was great. So we'd cook one night for everyone. Then the next night they would cook for all of us. But it meant that I wanted something portable that I could, you know, take with me. So I took this with me from home, this yarn. It's a Felici yarn by Knit Picks. I think the colour was Copy Break. And I haven't even looked at their website to see if they still have this colour. But I absolutely love it. Look at that. And I didn't take any contrasting yarn away with me. But I did have this caramel sort of colour that was using in another project in the caravan, but it hasn't got any nylon in it. It's just pure merino. So I just used it on the band and then did the rest of the whole sock in the self-striping yarn, and I think it turned out okay. I don't mind the narrower striping around here. I think it adds a bit of interest, and let's face it, whoever sees that anyway? The pattern is the Skip Socks, SKYP. I think from memory it's a free pattern on Ravelry, so I will also put a link to that down below. I'm really happy with how they I have got two of them. Really happy with how they turned out. I haven't worn them yet because I wanted to keep them nice to show you all. That yarn was a delight to knit with, and I have got a whole drawer full of other colours, so I'm looking forward to getting those out and knitting those. This pattern is beautiful. When you knit them, you think that's never going to fit my foot, but of course it's got a rib in it, so it stretches out and then it makes a really nice fit on your leg and your foot once they're finished. And I just did a slip stitch heel. I actually did it exactly as it says in the pattern. I normally do a square heel from Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears, but this time I just did the heel as written, and it's not a lot different anyway. So I'm really happy with those. It's got this lovely little slip stitch going up the middle of each rib, and self-striping yarn is really good fun to work with. I really enjoy it. So that was I think they're called the Simple Skip Socks. And it's terrible, I can't remember the designer, but I will have a look and I'll put it up here. Another project I took away in the caravan was my crochet blanket that I was working on. And it's the Beach Walk Blanket by Wool Thread Paint. A Scottish designer, I think her name is Marion, and I absolutely love this blanket. I got the yarn from our own Michelle here in Perth from Dyeing to Knit Yarns. But sadly, she's not doing dyeing anymore, so I feel very privileged that I was able to get this from her, and she dyed it up just for me. I was very privileged to get it from her before she stopped dyeing yarn. Hopefully she'll get back into it one day, but they've downsized into a smaller home, so she may not have the space. This was a delight. It was very fiddly in parts, where you see all these little tiny minis, and each one of these is also a little mini. They're just one round of a granny square, and you ended up with like 100 and something just in the cream colour. So that was very fiddly and took a long time, but it's so worth it because just look at the result. I'm going to hold it up for you, but I have got a photo that I will insert. So just look at this. I don't know how well you can see it. It's absolutely beautiful. I did run out of some colours. Firstly, I was running out of the cream, and then I was running out of this dark grey, and then I was running out of this one here, which was called Mocha. So when we got to Melbourne, we went into the city one day on the train, and of course I went straight to Morris & Sons, and I just got their plain 4-ply, which is for everyone else it's fingering weight, just the pure merino. I couldn't get exactly the matching, but I got this one for the dark grey. The cream was fine, I was able to match that up, and I got that caramel colour that you just saw in the socks. I got that to replace the mocha, and I needed that in the last couple of these granny squares around the edge. So that worked really well. I can tell the difference in the colours, but nobody else would ever know from looking at it. The actual pattern's written for Stylecraft Special DK yarn, which here in Australia is an 8-ply. And of course this I did in the 4-ply, so it's a lot smaller than what the original blanket would have been. Now, Marion has another blanket on her page. I think it's called the Woodland Walk or Winter Walk. I'm not quite sure. And I absolutely love the colours in it. So I'm thinking of doing that in a DK. But I'm going to colour match as best as I can with wool from Bendigo Woolen Mills, because in our caravan, some of the nights, because we went away in winter, some of the nights were very, very cold, especially when you'd wake up in the mornings. And I had my beautiful crocheted blanket on the bed in there, and that really added to the warmth. And that was made from leftover scraps of Bendigo Woolen Mills yarn. And it was all wool. Some was a wool alpaca blend, I think, but it was mostly wool. And it was beautiful, and it added a bit of weight and a bit of warmth. So I would love to do one of these in the right weight yarn and in wool, and they have such a tremendous, I would just use the classic yarn. They have such an amazing array of colours that I think I'll be able to match them up fairly well to the colours Marion uses, and if I can't get an exact match, I'll just use something that's near enough. But that's a project for the future, so I don't know when I'll be doing that, because I have got plenty of other blankets to be making. So that was my big finished object. I finished that quite early on our trip, so for the rest of the time it sat over the back of our dinette in our caravan, and it looked really nice. So when I finish recording, it's going to go back out there. It just adds a bit of pizzazz to the van. That is it for my finished objects. So now I thought I will show you what I've been working on. Now bear in mind, I only get to knit at night, because during the day I'm doing, normal household stuff, or I'm also still making stuff for the shop over in Bassendean, mostly sewing. I'm also doing a bit of crocheting. I'm making an emotional support chicken for the shop, because the owner of the shop thought some chickens would go down well. I could have just taken one from over the back fence. And I'm also at the moment, one of the customers who bought one of my hot water bottle cozies contacted the shop to see if I could make another one. And he wanted mushrooms on it, so I've had to design my own mushrooms. And I'd started it and I was using Intarsia, but I didn't like it. So I ripped it all out, and for the middle section where the mushrooms are, I'm just using the fair old technique. I haven't got it with me today, but I'll definitely take some photos and show you in the next episode. I haven't got it here. But yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment in the afternoons. So in the evenings, I'm alternating my 3 projects. Now, the one that's been on my needles the longest was a Christmas present for my husband. So towards the end of last year, Fruity Knitting featured a designer called Sandra Arcut. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's Archut. And her company is Woolmeister Designs. My battery is dead on my phone at the moment, so I can't look while I'm sitting here. But I will definitely put the right information here on the screen. Now, when she was featured on Fruity Knitting, she had this beautiful shawl hanging in the background. And I just saw it, and sometimes you look at something and you think, I just have to have that. Well, that was one of these moments. She sells it on her website as a kit, so you get the pattern and the yarn, and it was very expensive. But because she was on Fruity Knitting, she was giving a discount to Fruity Knitting viewers. So I sent the link to my husband and said, if you want to know what to get me for Christmas, because I think this was around October sometime, September, October last year. Gosh, that's a year ago. I said to him, if you really want to know what to get me for Christmas, and probably part of my birthday as well, which was another 6 months later, this is what I would love. And he did. And it arrived quite quickly, and she was wonderful. She was sending us a message to say one of the yarns that she used was no longer available, so she was going to replace it with such and such a yarn. And it was a mixture of yarns. It's a mixture of Jamison yarns. I'll just get them out and show you some of the yarns. So, Lamana of Shetland. And they're all the real toothy, yarny yarns. It's going to be so warm and beautiful, this shawl. And then, of course, there's some of the... I've got 2 labels around this. Jamison Shetland Spindrift. That's another one of the colours. And also, something I've never knitted with before, Holstgarn yarns. So they're all pure wool, and there's various colours in each of those brands, but it all seems to work really well together. Now this shawl is beautiful. I took it away in the caravan, and it was knit with a stick. So the whole shawl is knit with a stick, and then at the end you run a zigzag on your sewing machine down each side of the stick, and then you cut it. Well, obviously I couldn't do that in the caravan, so I just finished knitting the centre of the shawl and left it till we got home. So last week I was a bit nervous because I've never sewn any knitwear before on my sewing machine. So I got my sewing machine up and got the zigzag working, and it actually worked really, really well. So I zigzagged the stick and then I cut up the middle of it, and now I've been picking up all the stitches to do the border. Now this thing is big, so you have 3 needles, 1 on each side, and then you knit the border in the round, but I couldn't quite manage it with 3 needles, so I just got a smaller, because they've got long cables, 120 centimetre I think cables. They're a bit too long actually. I didn't really need that length. And I had a 30 centimetre, I'm using my ChowGoo needles, and with my needle set I had a smaller cable, just a 30 centimetre one, and by the time you add the needles onto the end of it, I thought, I reckon I could squeeze the stitches for one side onto that. So that gives me that 4th needle to knit with as you're knitting around. Now I'm going to show you it. So there's needles hanging off it everywhere, and it's all scrunched up, of course, because I've got that small needle. But just look at this. Just got to get a bit untangled first. Now, you're not going to be able to see it very well, but I will put a photo I took up. Look at this thing, it's beautiful. And this is the piece I love. Look at these birds. How do you like that? Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Can you see that? I'll move that piece of needle out of the way. So now I've picked up the border. Oh, and this was the stick. You can see where I've zigzagged it with the sewing machine. And now as I'm knitting the border, you knit it up, and halfway up you do a row of purl bumps, and then you fold it over, and it will get sewn down over the stick. So that will keep it all nicely encased. So far the stick's holding up really well. I've still got a lot of loose ends that I can just cut off. But I'm so happy with how this is turning out. I've messaged Sandra, the designer, and she was delighted with it. So I think it's just beautiful. You can't really see it that well because it's all scrunched up. Look at that. That's going to be used a lot when we're away on holidays down south in the cooler months, because it's just nice to have something warm to wrap around your shoulders, especially if you're sitting outside. So I'm absolutely loving that. It's I think it's called the Hertzblatts shawl, but I will definitely get all the correct information and put it up here for you, and also down in the show notes. The second project I've been working on is, of course it's way over here, just a minute. I'm doing another Phoenix blanket from Hooked on Sunshine. This is a crochet project. I've made quite a few blankets for other people. I did a Fair Isle one for my brother-in-law. I've done a Fair Isle blanket for my eldest daughter, and I've done a crocheted blanket for my friend down in Denmark. And my sister kept commenting on these blankets. She's a lovely knitter, but she just chooses not to, and that's fine. And she loves peacock colours like aquamarines and all those colours. Now, one time we were down at our friend's place in Denmark, and they had another friend down there who loves to crochet. And she gave me some yarn that she had that she was destashing. And she gave me 4 balls of this beautiful yarn. It's Cotton Kings Sultan Shadow from Hobie. Can you see the colours? I'll hold it up to the window a bit. It's beautiful. And I thought, that is my sister's colours. So I immediately thought of a Phoenix blanket, and I thought I'm going to colour control it. So I do all the centres, the whole centre in all this, and then just have it, grading out to the black around the edge. But when I looked at the quantities, I'd need probably another 2 balls. So thankfully, I was able to get this before Hobie stopped shipping to Australia. I was a bit upset about that because I do like their yarns. I don't think anyone does gradients quite as well as this. So I was able to get some more. So I've been able to start this blanket for my sister, and I'm really happy with how it's working out. I'm still working on the one colour for the centrepiece. I've just put these little markers so I can see how much I've got as I'm working on each ball. So it's not going to be very long before I start on the centre of the next ball, and that's my last one then in this colour, and then after that it'll start grading out towards the black. I'm really excited about that. So this is it. My only thing I think I've done wrong is I should have gone down a size hook, but I did start this in the caravan and I didn't have all my hooks with me. I had a 4mm hook. I think if I did it again, a 3.5 max for this yarn would be better, but still it's got a lovely drape, and I think my sister won't care, she'll love it. But you can see it's quite loosey-goosey, but it's coming up really good. It's a beautiful pattern. I've done it before when you buy a pattern from Hooked on Sunshine, you can spend a bit extra money and get a video tutorial, and I have found those invaluable. I still struggle sometimes with where do I put my hook. So the video tutorials make it all very clear. So if you're ever looking at buying a Hooked on Sunshine pattern, I would suggest spending the extra and getting the video. They're so, they just teach you so much. They're so informative. That's the word I was looking for. So I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I think because it's on a probably bigger than I should have used size hook, it's going to be quite big, but I don't think my sister will care, and I think I can imagine this will be on the bed in her bedroom. So this is the Phoenix by Hooked on Sunshine using Hobie yarn, and it's about the first project I've talked about today where I know I've got the designer and the yarn correct. I'm really enjoying that, and it's very hard to just not work on this all the time. Okay, the last project I'm working on that I would like to show you, now there's a bit of a story to this. I took this yarn with me in the caravan, and I downloaded this beautiful new top from Joji Locatelli. I can't remember the name of it now. It's such a gorgeous pattern. It's a summer tee. But I could not get it started. You start at the neck and then you do short rows at the back. And it's done in the round, but then you do the short rows back and forwards. Then when you start going back in the round, I was doing something wrong. My markers were all in the wrong place, and I think I ripped it out 10 times. And I think part of the problem was it was when we were all sitting out around the fire, chatting away, and, you know, I just couldn't concentrate properly. So I thought, no, I'm going to shelve that project. I ripped it all back and I started a different one. So that one of Joji's I'm putting on the back burner because I know Andrea from Fruity Knitting, Andrea and Madeline, are bringing out a range of yarn through John Arbon Textiles. And one of the colours she's going to bring is called White Opal. And I can just see this top from Joji in that yarn. So I'm just going to put it away. When that yarn comes out, that's going to be my one splurge. And I'm going to get enough to make that summer tee. And I think that will be really nice. We went to Coopapedy, which is the home of opal in Australia. And I actually bought some white opal earrings. So I thought that when I saw the episode and she was talking about white opal, I thought, oh my goodness, the universe is telling me something. I have to have that yarn. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. But in the meantime, I had this lovely yarn in my stash for a long time. And it's from Tasmania, from White Gum Wool. And it's this beautiful plum colour. It's called Flax Lily, this shade. And once again, it's a 4-ply, which is a fingering weight yarn. It's very soft. It's a pure merino. Let me just check. Certified sustainable and traceable by New Merino Chain of Custody. Ethical superfine merino from Tasmania's Midlands. I just love this colour. I love the yarn. I do fear it's going to pill a lot because it's so soft and it's quite a loose spin on it, loose twist. But I don't care. I'll just get out the gleaner and use that on it. I think I probably need to change the cable on this to a smaller one because I struggle a bit pushing all the stitches along, and I think that's what's starting the wool to pill a bit already. But this pattern is called the Summerfell Tea, I think. And it's just this beautiful all over lace pattern, and then it comes up and the sleeves are done in stocking stitch. And I'm really enjoying it. Can you see that? If I hold just one side of it up, you can see the pattern better. It's so pretty. And I think for summer it will be absolutely gorgeous. And I've got nothing else I can say about it. It's a delight to knit. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to work on some of this tonight And every time I knit on it, I just love the yarn, I love the pattern, and I think next time I'm out I'm going to buy a slightly smaller cable. I don't seem to have enough cables that fit these needles, and I think that will make it a lot easier rather than, you know, having to slide everything along all the time. But that is so gorgeous. Do you like it? Absolutely beautiful. It's not showing up terribly well because the light, I've got a little light that goes on top of my iPad when I'm recording, but of course I forgot to charge it. So we're just relying on my overhead light and a bit of light from the window. Oh, I wish you could feel this. Can you feel that? It's so nice and soft. You can see the pattern really well there. I'm planning to wear this with just underwear underneath and nothing else, so I'll have to make sure I get some skin coloured underwear because I think that way the pattern will just show out really nicely then. Isn't it lovely? It's a beautiful pattern. It's really well written. So far I've had no problem. We'll see how it goes when I get up to the, you know, shaping at the top, but I don't foresee any problems. So that's, I will look up the designer and put it on the screen, but that is the Summerfell Tea. That was a paid pattern off Ravelry, by the way. Okay, as I mentioned before, Hobie, the yarn company in Denmark, are no longer shipping to Australia. I'm not really sure of the reasons why. And there's also New Zealand, and I think it might have been Japan, I'm not sure. But they had another Cotton King Sultan that I'd always had my eye on, and this is so not me, but my youngest daughter, who I have not knitted a blanket for yet, is a mad West Coast Eagles fan. So those of you not in Australia, that's our national game, is Australian rules football, and the West Coast Eagles is our local team, and my daughter is mad for them, and their colours are blue and gold. And Hobie had this yarn. Now the blue is a little bit more aqua than I would like, but I thought if they're not going to stop shipping to Australia, I won't be able to get it. So just before they closed the shipping off, they did a 10% sale to their customers in Australia and New Zealand. So I put an order in then for this, and it arrived while we were away on holiday. So this is going to be a blanket for Nicole. I'm not 100% sure what pattern I'm going to use yet. There's a lovely pattern on the Hooked on Sunshine page called For, F-O-R, because you make it for yourself if you want. There's also a lovely knitted blanket pattern on the Bendigo Woolen Mills website that are squares that you join together, and I think they're a bit like a mitered square, but I think they've got an eyelet pattern in them. I think that would be really nice as well. So I'm not going to do it just yet. I've got plenty of time to think about it, but that's future knitting. It's really nice. Look at that. The gradient's going to be beautiful. That is quite blue, the last colour, and that's a real aqua. I showed it to Nicole and she really likes it because she loves the ocean, and she said that's what it reminds her of. So she's absolutely delighted with it, and that's what matters. So that's for her. While we were in Victoria, we went to Bendigo, and we managed to get there 2 weeks before the annual Wool and Sheep Festival, which I was quite glad about. I couldn't have walked to the festival anyway because my knee was too bad. And it meant we could go to Bendigo Woolen Mills, which is always really busy that weekend, without the crowds being there. So I got the boys dropped myself and my sister off because many years ago, it must be 40 years ago, my sister was in Bendigo because her husband was in the army. That's actually why we went to Bendigo, because he had an army reunion. And that was what started off planning the whole trip. So she was really excited to see it, even though she doesn't knit anymore. And she helped me pick out my colours. So there's a pattern on their website for a 5-ply, which is sport weight V-neck jumper. It's just very plain, and I thought I really want that. So I picked out this lovely colour. It's just so nice to be there and see the colours in all their glory, and you know, not be on the website and cross your fingers that you hope the colour is as it's pictured, because that's not outside of their control. But you know, sometimes it can be quite a variance in the colours. So I picked out this one. Oh, let me see if I've got the tags come off that one. I'll show you this one. The colour is Pussy Willow, and this is the classic, and it's a bit like a champagne-y, mushroomy sort of colour. Very pale, and it's a neutral, so it will go with everything. I'll see if I can get a photo of the Bendigo Woolen Mills page of the pattern to show you. I think 5-ply weight for our climate in Perth is going to be absolutely perfect, because our winters are not that cold. You know, it really, it may get down to 12 degrees centigrade about once in the whole of winter, but the average temperatures lately are around 17, 18. So I think that will be perfect. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be on the list fairly soon to do. Now, while I was there, something else I wanted to look at was they brought out their own mohair range called Lilt. I think it's Lilt. Let me see. Yes, Lilt. Now, I got this pattern. It's a yoked jumper, and it's knit in one colour up to here, held double with the lilt, and then the yoke is done in one of their variegated sock yarns, which is also held double with the mohair. So I picked out this colour, which is just a soft grey. It's called Ghost. This is the luxury yarn, and it's in the 4-ply or a fingering weight. So it's just a very soft grey, and that's the colour Lilt that I got to go with it. I'm sorry about the shadows in here. And then for the top part of the yoke, I wanted something that blends in and doesn't stand out too much. So it just looks like really subtle colour changes. So if I can find it, I got this one, which is the multicoloured sock yarn. So there is a bit of nylon in this. And this colour is called Hydrangea Blooms. And look at the lovely colours in there. So that yoke is going to get pops of this marled bit, the plain, and the soft grey. So some parts are going to blend right in and won't even stand out. But that's exactly the look I wanted. And that's exactly the look that's on the pattern. So I think it's going to be beautiful, and I can't wait to make it. I think these two jumpers will be on the needles in the next few months, hopefully, because I'm so excited about them. And I'm also really interested to see how the mohair knits up. I think that'll be really interesting to see. Let's see what it says on the label. It says, this shade, by the way, is Silverstone, and it's made in Italy. It just says it's 70% mohair and 30% silk. Right. I don't think I've got anything else to tell you at this stage. I'm looking forward to getting the border done on that shawl, because the border is actually in a ferrule pattern as well. It's a stranded pattern as well. So that will take some time, because on one side of that triangle there's 400 and something stitches, and I think the other sides have almost 300 stitches. And you do an increase at each end of each needle to allow the corners to come together properly. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. But I think that's it for now. I'm going to finish off by showing you a few photos of the wonderful holiday that we did in our caravan. I've got to say that we stayed in a mixture of free camp areas and registered caravan parks, and I actually think the free camp areas were my favourites. Some of them were a bit, you know, just a place to park the van for the night. But some of them were beautiful. We had one lovely spot right on the banks of the Murray River. That was where we had the worst weather of the trip as well. Everyone said don't travel over there in winter, but we couldn't have asked for better weather. We had a lot of clear sunny days. It was cold, but we dressed for the cold. Our van was warm and toasty. It's got a heater in there, a diesel heater, so we can run the heater when we're not on power. And when we were in caravan parks, we've got a little fan heater that we run. So we were very warm and cosy. When we stayed by the Murray River at a place called, I think it was Yarrawonga in Victoria, that was the worst weather, I would say, as far as rain goes. So it was a bit muddy, but we were sort of high up off the river, and it was quite funny because as the afternoon went on, a group of like outdoor ed students came in with their canoes. They all set their tents up, and then the next morning they all took off down the river in their canoes. And then their officials, they had some people with them that packed up all the gear and everything. And all I could think was those poor things in this weather out in the tents. It was cold, it was wet. They didn't care. They were having the time of their lives. So that was great. And Coober Pedy, what a contrast. On the drive up to Coober Pedy, because it's a long way, and you couldn't do it in the one day from where we were coming from. So we stopped at a place on the main road that sort of goes from Adelaide up to Darwin. We stopped at a place called Spud's Roadhouse, and it was a roadhouse, so petrol, fuel, convenience store. They had a little pub there, so you could go in and have a drink if you wanted. And they've also got a big gravelled area where you can park for the night with your caravan. So we did that. The day we got there was quite windy. And then the next day, because my sister and her husband were there as well, the next day we decided we'd stay 2 nights there anyway, because we wanted to go out and have a look at this outback town called Woomera, which was like a military base. So, but that second day we were there, I don't know where the wind came from, because there's nowhere near any ocean. You know, it's right smack bang in the middle. And the wind blew and blew and blew. It blew so hard that when we opened our caravan door, you had to hold on to it or the wind would have taken it and ripped it off. And at one point, I went out to go and get something from the shop, and I held onto the door so the wind wouldn't take it. And it almost sucked me right out. My husband had to grab hold of me because I nearly went down the steps. It was so windy. So we just bunkered down for the day. In the afternoon, the wind died down a little bit, so we went on our drive out to Woomera. And then, yeah, thankfully by the next day, the wind had died down and we were safe to travel the rest of our way to Coober Pedy. And Coober Pedy opened my eyes. I thought, oh my God, I thought at first, what a dump. You know, there's rusty old machinery everywhere. There's not much action. All the shops are shut. There was one supermarket open, the petrol station's open, and I think there was maybe 2 opal shops open. We did get to go and see an underground dugout house that's just called Faye's house. And apparently Faye was a lady from, I'm not sure where she came from, but she went there to find her fortune, and she started digging out her house and found opal, and she found enough to fund her house and start a mine next to the house. And she ended up retiring a very wealthy woman and ended up moving to Queensland and buying a hotel and ran a very successful hotel up in Queensland. She dug it all out herself with the help of 2 friends, 3 females, and it was amazing. So I'll put 1 or 2 photos of her house in here as well. So that's it for now. I'm hoping to get back to you in about a month's time. And take care, everyone, and stay safe, and happy knitting.